Okay, so today I'd like to talk about an issue that quite frankly affects all of us, especially if we're living in this kind of a society, right? Where we're eating all sorts of processed foods, we're eating a variety of things that normally are not necessarily grown here and or are grown with chemicals in terms of pesticides, herbicides, and things of that nature. So what happens to us when we eat food that is not as natural as possible? And what I mean by that is basically foods that have chemicals and or have been treated with chemicals. So pesticides, herbicides, things of that nature are going to break down differently in your body, and it's going to affect your chemistry differently. Invariably, what I find and what we've known for a long time is that there are over 250 medical conditions that can be associated to the fact that the food you're eating is creating sensitivities in you. So, for example, a lot of times people know about sensitivity and allergy issues in terms of like what you mentioned with eggs. So you may have sensitivity to eggs, and when you eat eggs, it causes you to become more tired and fatigued. So you tend to avoid that. But what we want to understand is that if there is a sensitivity to things like that where you experience something immediately, then more than likely there's an issue with other foods that are actually having a delayed reaction. So a lot of times people, what happens is that we know the ones that when we eat something, if you eat something and you kind of break out in a rash, or you swell up, or you have water retention, or you start to itch, all of those types, or you kind of get sleepy a little after about a half hour or so of eating that, those are things that are immediate. You feel that immediately. But what most people don't realize is that if that's happening, that's actually only happening 20% of the time. The other 80% of the time, you're getting reactions and responses that are delayed. And what that means is that it's happening anywhere from 3 days to a week later. So yeah, you could be eating something that you don't feel until 3 days or a week later. Now at that point, where is it in your body? It's not in your intestines, right? So generally you don't tend to have the same kind of inflammatory or symptoms that you might have in terms of stomach ache, bloating, gassiness, indigestion, things of that nature, and or itching, or not having difficulty breathing. Those tend to be more immediate, and in fact there's an even more immediate response, which is known as an anaphylactic reaction, right? Where you need to take an injection to basically calm things down immediately. So those are different types of reactions and sensitivity to the foods that you're consuming. Most people and most of the testing that is done at doctors' offices is done either through blood or on the body, where they put things on your skin or on the back of you and they test to see what the reactions are. Well, those are really testing for immediate reactions. They're not really testing for delayed reactions. So one of the things that I would highly recommend is that actually to everyone, is that you really don't know if what you're eating is actually causing some of the health issues that you have. Now the reason that that's happening is because they're delayed. If I eat something today and I have some kind of internal reaction, or I don't feel as good, or I'm fatigued and not having as much energy, I'm not able to think as well, or I start to feel that my blood pressure is going up, or some health condition is getting worse, you don't know that was because of something that you have sensitivity to, because you might have eaten it 3 days or even a week ago, and now it's all happening inside you in terms of your chemistry. And so it's really important to understand that you want to consider doing a food sensitivity test that covers a whole range of things, including delayed reactions. And that can be done through blood. It can, in different forms of testing, but you want to make sure that when you're talking to your physician, or if you're concerned about this, and quite frankly, I recommend that everyone do this, because you'd be surprised to how many things you might have sensitivity to, because remember, it's connected to, or has been shown to be connected to, over 250 different kinds of conditions, health issues, and so on, is that invariably, when I'm talking with clients and patients, is that if you do a food sensitivity test, it really allows us to identify the whole range of triggers that are basically causing inflammation, then also causing triggers to all these different types of health conditions that people are dealing with. So food sensitivity is beyond just immediate reactions, it's delayed reactions. So it's always a good idea to, if you're really trying to identify triggers, identify the triggers that you don't even know that are happening. One of the great ways to identify that is by doing an overall sensitivity test that looks for delayed reactions as well. Now, you can do that not only for food, but you can also do that for the environment. You can do that for additives and preservatives, because quite frankly, all of those things that are basically chemicals that we've put into this earth and into this environment is affecting us. And so we really need to address those things as well. So identifying triggers, a great way to identifying triggers is to do a sensitivity test that includes a whole range of foods, but also the environment, also additives and preservatives, and quite frankly, we can also do that for medications as well as supplements as well. So that's a great thing to do to help you guys take care of yourself and get better.